Hello, I'm Zoe and welcome to my studio. I'm Wolfie. Thank you for the host. Welcome. You're in time, indeed you are. You were probably here just before the start, I think, weren't you? Right. Yes, we were carving this. We were. So we carry on. Might adjust that a little bit at some point, but we were carving this, so that's what I'm going to do now. So, Gouge, how are you today? It's the end of the weekend. I go back to work tomorrow, unfortunately, but never mind. Nearly. That's going to be a little bit awkward. Thank you, that reminds me. You just followed me on Twitter, but for the first time I've forgotten to tweet. I'm going live. So that's something I'd better do. So and my brain's gone to sleep as well. That's it. So the first time you follow me is the first time I forget to actually tweet. That couldn't be more perfect, could it? Than that. Now then, the big chisel. So this is the first time you've made a Twitter account, eh? I don't use it a great deal. I know it says I follow lots of people, but there's very few that I actually truly follow, I guess. I've noticed that quite a few of the ones I'm getting I do get kind of tired of hundreds and hundreds of messages on Twitter. And there's a lot of advertising on Twitter now. Kind of wish you could opt out of all the sponsored and what have you messages. I get more sponsored and advertising messages on Twitter than I do actual tweets. There you go with those abbreviations again. What's DBD? Or is it? Do you mean Dungeons and Dragons D&D? I can't do it that way. I want to carve the other way to this, and I can't just because it's the grain of the wood.
I'm drowning in your skin. I don't know where I am, where you begin.
Dead by Daylight. Oh, okay. What sort of game is this then?
Early on in the night, you said you were mine as we sit on a
That's not one I've heard of, so it's a newish game to me.
with that spark in your eye that says take me home, make me never wanna sleep alone. Shake me, baby, right to the bone. Show me love that I've never known. Let's get lost in this, whatever it is. We're lazy in love, but we're crazy enough to do what we want, whenever we want. I wanna live in your eyes and build a house. I wanna get to know whatever's under your blouse and hide away with you for a while.
Seems to have managed to take a chip out of there.
I'm gonna take you home, make you never wanna sleep alone. Shake you, baby, right to the bone. Show you love that you've never known. And oh my
Okay.
God, I'll take you with me and don't look back.
Another sort of horror survival type game.
I'll be your guy. Show you love that you've never known. And in the heat of the moment, can't help but feel the fire growing. I know that you'll be here in the morning. For now, just come a little closer, a little closer. Let me take you home, make you never wanna sleep alone. Shake you, baby, right to the bone. Show you love that you've never known. And oh my God, I'll take you with me and don't look back.
Ooh.
I'll be your savior, I'll be your guide. Show you love that you've never known. You've never known. You've never
known. I wonder if I cut that deep enough actually, so I'm just thinking about that. Because that flattens out a bit more than I perhaps want it to. Give this little thing a bit of a sharpen. That was taking a bit too much effort. Well, today one of the things I've managed to do today is to get the there we go, the pyrography photographed. So I'll be able to now I'll be able to do two things. One is to put the pictures and some of the details onto the website. So I can actually do an update to the website, and the second thing is I can put them on Etsy. So if anybody who's watching might be interested in the Hearthstone cards, then keep a lookout on my Etsy shop, zarganart.etsy.com. Yeah, okay, you made something. In real life or in just the geometric drawing? It's a saloon table. For a computer? Okay, well that's good. It looks like a computer table, except the left hand side of it looks a bit low. Because I can see it kind of looks like a computer table would be horizontal. Oh yeah, no, I can read an engineering drawing, and projections like that aren't really a problem. Is it a computer? Is it a computer table? Is that the intent of it? It kind of looks like one, but I'm not completely sure. No? Okay. Well, that's alright then. So I take it. Oh well, I was about to say I take it you're into doing some woodwork, but that is an assumption that you were making that out of wood. And the way you've drawn it suggests you're going to be putting a glass top on it as well. That kind of does make sense. It does make sense now that I think about it. So, welding in your future then. Something I've never learnt how to do is weld. Done brazing but never welding. I want to curve that a little bit more. I've never learned how to weld. But yes, I recalled that your father, I think, had metal working capabilities. Right, so we carve that edge over. I think I'm happy with that as it is. This edge, not sure about. So I'm going to carve this a little bit more. Trying to get a curve here. I'm going to have to go over it again with the gouge, because that's got quite a cutout in it there. I'm going to have to do the same on this side, but So you're making the table just for fun, or it got some specific purpose? Or are you going to move in on making bespoke furniture out of metal and steel? Right, now the gouge to cut the shape. Right. SketchUp, is it? I've only ever used SketchUp to display plans. I've never actually drawn anything in it myself. Mainly because I do have another 3D CAD program that I use for the stuff that I want, which is AC3D, which I've used for years, and I've also got, that's for 3D stuff, and I've also, what is it I've got? I've used it for a while now, but I've actually got another engineering type 3D CAD application. I can't actually remember. But it doesn't create 3D models, so it's a pure CAD package. It's supposed to be fairly easy to use, so I'm guessing it. I guess it is. Of course, what you ought to do next, Wolfie, then is persuade the company that they need a 3D printer. That way you'll be able to print out the models that you create, and they can actually show actual models as opposed to things on screen. Because of course once you've got the thing in SketchUp, all you need to do is pass it through a slicer and then print. Well, assuming it's a good model, that is. Right. Do I carve that by hand or do I use the machine? I don't know. I shall have a cup of tea while I think about it. So now you want to get paid for it? And of course, yeah, consultant designer. Of course, these days you've also got 3D printing, metal printing machines. Not their industrial machines, of course, but you know, things like laser sinter machines, and as well as don't think I've seen any hot metal. What I'm trying to say is hot metal extruders. I don't think I've seen any of those, but sort of laser sinters, and you've got things like lost casting and stuff like that. Oh yeah, they are. Well, the metal ones are, yes, definitely. That's for sure. So the plastic ones, you know, the ones that if you were going to show a model of, they're not so bad. But I mean, you can get. I know you talk about the firm there is an engineering firm more than anything, but for people who do things like artistic type of metal work, actually, sort of the high tech. What am I trying to say? Things like the aero industry and stuff like that are using metal printers because they can get shapes which are just impossible to machine otherwise. Wonder how they get the cavities out. Don't know. Anyway. So I've got the fold backs now to carve here, and we'll use a small chisel for that. Now, things like this are never my favourite thing to carve because they're really quite awkward. Especially if I'm not careful, I'm going to get the wood splitting here. guess what I should really do is carve that way. But it's carving on to the edge of the wood again. That will split if I do that. Let's make sure we've got a stop cut in place. Why do I do this with the machine? Do it with power tools. Use a large ball for this, I think. A largish ball. I don't have a diamond ball out. Since I'm using the power carve here, I'm going to see if I can do something I wouldn't normally try with chisels, just because the edges would be too thin to carve. I'm actually going to try and create a roll. So normally I just carve straight for something like this. I'm actually going to try and bring it back up. Now trying to be light enough that it doesn't chatter, but firm enough that it doesn't chatter, because that chatter means it's jumping and gets aggressive in the cut. Now, which way you move the tool is important. I am going with the rotational direction of this tool, which means it's not cutting a very great deal and I'm not forcing it, but it does mean it's a lot less aggressive, of course. Now, one of the things I'm going to do here as well is I'm going to start to undercut just a little bit. By undercut, I mean basically I'm making a hole. And it's just one of those tiny details, but it's a tiny detail. It means when you look, you kind of see the material sort of curl, and you can see darkness there, so it actually looks like it curls under. So that's an undercut, and effectively it creates what they call a shadow line. Because in certain light angles there is actually a shadow cast, which makes it look like it's actually something to cast a shadow. There's a hole, which of course there is. So we've got that edge there. Complete with hole. I'll shape a little bit just on the edge of this, but not just now because it'll get too weak to do. So now do the same thing on this side here. So get rid of those shavings. Ow. Are you loose or are you actually fastened? Oh, it's fastened. Okay. I'm going to need the sharp I was about to say sharp chisel, I meant the small chisel. All the chisels are sharp. There's an angle there and I can't actually get this chisel in, and what I might be able to do is get the V-gouge in, which I think is this one. Little tiny V tool. Yep, that's the one. I might just have enough room just to get it in there to carve out along that edge. Which of course I could quite easily have done now that I think about it by putting the other cutter on, but never mind. Right, so now we do what I did there on this side here. Just shaping the scroll edge. These rotary cutters can be really aggressive, and you can get through a lot of wood really quickly, but I am just taking my time. So everybody's looking at this and thinking they're like, give it a try. No, I didn't ask you anything. It's alright. Anybody who's watching this thinks they'd like to try rotary carving. It's an interesting thing to do. I'm using something here called a micro motor. You can use things like a Dremel or a larger drill with a flexible shaft, for example. You wouldn't potentially want to use something like a large power drill just handheld. You use a flexible shaft so that you've got the flexibility. These are dental drills. You can get quite a few similar looking drills with in the sort of the Dremel and similar range, so you don't have to use dental drills, for example. I'm specifically using dental drills because one of the other uses I use this for, and these tools for, is glass engraving. So I wanted things like diamond burrs, and which are things like balls, which are effectively studded with industrial diamonds, that is, or more precisely diamond chips. And they are generally more available in dental supplies. The only thing that about using things like a Dremel to do this is it spins a lot slower, and that means that the bits have more of a tendency to grab. So you do need a lot more careful control when you're using slow speed bits. Slow speed drills, and the Dremel is considered slow speed. Then there is more of a chance for the drill to catch and jerk your hand about or go all over the place. So you have to be somewhat more gentler and potentially sort of just have a lot better grasp of the tool that you're using. The Dremel probably spins at about 10,000, I think it's RPM, something like that. I don't actually know off the top of my head now. I do know it's a lot slower than this. At full speed this thing runs at about 38,000 RPM, which is about that. Which means that by the time the tool's grabbed something, it's already cut it away, so it doesn't tend to catch. Now I'm just gradually carving this down to the point where I expect the curve to be, the corner to be. So I'm barely touching the surface, but it is enough to remove wood. Sorry, I'm concentrating like mad here. Concentrating so much I'm almost sticking my tongue out. One of the reasons I'm getting the chatter is that's probably too far out from the end. It is surprising that when you're spinning these bit shafts at 38,000, or even when I put the air tool on something like 150,000 RPM, the slightest imbalance in them causes them to vibrate quite a bit, and that chattering that you are hearing is part of that imbalance. So these tools are really well built, if you like. As you can imagine, a dentist doesn't want the drill bit shattering when he's working in your teeth. He doesn't want to take away any more than he absolutely has to. Yeah, that's about right. So next thing is undercut it again. Now I will, before I've finished, undercut all of it, but for the minute I'm just coming in. In this area here. That will do for now. So that's the banner carved largely. So we'll cut the frame, and then once we've cut the frame we'll carve the inside down. Still haven't decided what to do with that jewel. Now then. That's carpenter talk for what should I do now. So what I've decided to do now is to clean up these sides. If I cut downwards on that shape, I'm going to straighten the sides up and bring them to the mark. So the final outside size. Oops, there's it. Okay. So what I started to see there is a wood split. So I'm going to come in from this side here. Which allows me to remove some of the wood that would split off. All the time when you're carving, you've got to watch for that split happening. You've got to pay attention to what you're doing basically. Because this, as I keep mentioning, the grain angle on here is not advantageous for doing this. And if I hadn't have been watching then, what I could have done was take a big split right across the edge. Now, what would I have done at that point? Well, it really depends on just how big the split turned out to be. What I might have done, had it happened, it would have taken the chunk off of here, is reprofile this very slightly to try and get this edge to be inside the split, and that would have been one way around it. The other way would have been, well, potentially to do the same on this side, cut the edge off so it matched. Not a great thing, because I've cut inside, I can't actually reprofile this side. I can, as in sort of bring the curve in slightly, because it's I've already cut. What I could potentially have done is thin it, so make this frame thinner. That way it would have allowed me to reprofile that side slightly to match this side. That's probably the sorts of things I'd have done. But ideally I didn't want to have to do that. I'm glad I caught the split before it actually happened. So what I'm doing here is just making the side vertical and making it vertical at where the red line is basically, which is what I drew right at the start to signify where I wanted that inner frame to start. And here I am following the rule. Cut it off, don't pull it off. Having taken trouble to avoid the split, I don't want to cause another one just by pulling that waste wood off. Right, and in there I'm going to have to do that bit with the power tool. Do I do that now? Yes, I do. So I'm going to switch to the vertical milling cutter. Oh, blimey, I'm not very good at doing a vertical line there. So you won't very easily be able to see this, but so I'm kind of using my hands there as a depth guide to try and keep this thing at the same height all the way around here. Okay, I'm going to need to run the U-gouge through that, but we'll get to that. Really, I guess what I could do is put a collar. It's an attachment that you can certainly get with Dremels, so you can use it rather like you would use a router with a Dremel. You put a collar on it, and the collar allows you basically to set a depth, so that if I was doing that, I could set a depth here, for example, with a collar, and just run it straight across. I have seen in the past collars for micromotors. They're not often. They're not a frequent thing that I've seen. So it is always possible that if I wanted to do something like this in the future, what I'd actually have to do is, I do have a Dremel, use a collar on the Dremel. Certainly the only reason I've got a Dremel is to use it as a pillar drill. So it acts like a very small pillar drill, so if I'm doing model making, for example, and I need to drill sort of small holes or things like that, I can use the Dremel for it rather than trying to use the big drill. And the micromotor won't take an adjustable chuck, it only takes collets. So it's and they're fixed size collets. So if you want to drill a hole which is, I don't know, 1.5 millimeters, for example, you either have to get a 1.5 millimeter drill with a 2.54 millimeter, is it a 2.8 millimeter shank, or you have to use an adjustable chuck. The micromotor, as I say, doesn't support adjustable chucks. Okay, what's that look like across there? That's not bad. Right, so I was going to get out this small U-gouge just to try and get this edge here.
I don't know that one.
I would love to know why she perks up. You might recognise that voice if you're familiar with them as being the Amazon device. And there's no way I used any word there that sounds anything like her trigger word. Right, so what I can now do is now carve this down. I need to take it below the level of this. So first thing I'm going to do though is I'm going to put an internal stop cut here, because I'm going to leave the interior alone initially. So this cut is separating the frame from the inner piece. I'm literally just following the line around. Before we get to there, and I've just realised that this bit at the top here I didn't shape correctly. Oh, I did not want that to do that. The reason is I've now got a cut down there. Why I was kind of taking my time doing this. Just cutting a little bit like this. And then cutting horizontally in to remove the waste wood. I want to leave this kind of rough cut like that. I think it looks quite good actually. It's a bit like a stone cliff, which sort of suits the style of this. I want to leave it like that, at least at the moment. I can always tidy it. Usually the thing, I can always tidy it up or change it afterwards if I decide I don't actually like it for the end piece. Now I can afford to be a little bit more aggressive now that I've got a little bit of wood between me and the edge. Incidentally, these, as I've mentioned before, these are palm chisels. you cannot use a mallet with them. Or rather, you can't use a mallet on this handle. If you want to use a mallet with these chisels, you can, but you have to use a different handle. One that is basically designed to take the impact of a mallet. Although, as these are sort of fairly small, as I say, palm chisels, you're not going to be whacking the thing with a mallet. It's just a gentle drive. Yeah, FlexCut do sell a different handle, which is more suitable for using with a mallet. I was just thinking then, the reason I was thinking that was something like the powered flex shaft with a hammer action handpiece on the end, reciprocating action handpiece, would be quite nice for doing this, because you can hold it such that it taps gently, which would sort of drive the chisel through the wood here. Right, let's take this down a bit. I really want to do it from this edge here, because this is what will determine the level. On this side here, the position relative to this banner. I want it to be below this banner. I don't want to split wood like that. Okay, so now I've cut some of the wood, what I need to do is extend this cut on this side. Again, because it didn't go deep enough. Is that deep enough? I don't know. Carve it this way. Oh, I need to make sure I cut that as well. Across there. Because I do not want to carry on into the banner. Having just spent all that time carving the banner, that would be not a good time. Yep, I think that looks okay for a depth. So now we'll match the rest of the rim to that. This is one area where the grain does sometimes assist, and that is in coming up the side here. The wood is coming out cleanly because the grain is releasing the wood. So I'm not been putting a stop cut down in there because basically there isn't anything to stop. Okay, just checking the depth. It's very easy to cut and come all the way. See, cut at an angle. So eventually you sort of come completely out of the wood. So you keep checking level. Now I know I'm checking level in this particular case. What I'm doing is I'm looking on the side, but I'm looking relative to the top here, not to this piece. Because this piece isn't level, the top is. So I'm looking how far down I've cut, not how far off the base I am. Okay, because if I'm not far enough off the base, if I'm not the right distance off the base, if I'm too high off the, or too low to the base, I can cut the base down, because I know the base isn't level. It can't be, I cut it with a chisel, so... Yep. So...
Nobody means what they speak. My life rough, sprung a big face down in the path, scared of the death. Creatures of the deep looked at me and they wept. Dark eyes with the salty tears for all my fears. Be grateful for the little precious time you have here. Let go, float, reclaim my life from misstep to shipwreck all in one night. What's the cure for that? Nothing. Still trying to find a way to keep buzzing. What's the cure for that? Nothing. Past life path like domino mosaic. The beat keeps calling me back, there's no escape. So what's the cure for that? Nothing. There's too many toys for me to ever stop crushing. Be equipped, crippled, kryptonite. Cause these ass flag bearers made an illuminati. People can try to trick you, they lie to themselves. They portray a false mask when they say it's for real. Is it arrogance, ignorance, mental disturbance? Either way, didn't think I deserved this. The closest thing I've got to a cure for this malady is a pen and a book full of rhymes. Rescue remedy. What's the cure for that? Nothing. Still trying to find a way to keep buzzing. What's the cure for that? Nothing. Keep on until the
Try not to let the chisel twist too much. Because I want this to be flat, not angled. I'm going to use stop cuts in there. Okay, right. Again, I don't like coming onto the wood here. It's really hard to do, but I can't carve it the other way. I just tried, and I was finding the wood wasn't coming off correctly. It was going to come off with a rip. Yeah, it's coming up. If you want really sharp corners there, one thing you can do is go along with a V gouge. Tip it on its side so that one of the side flutes is in contact either with the base or the side, and you probably do 2 passes. And it's tucked right into that groove edge, and it will create a nice tight curve or tight corner in there. I'm not that bothered because I will be carving this down below it, so I don't need to do that. That's coming up, yeah. Now I don't want to go any further than that at the moment because I want to shape that top edge before I do, whilst I've still got the guidelines there. As soon as I carve that top surface off, I lose those guidelines. I mean, I can judge it, but it's a lot easier to do where I can actually see the lines that I'm working to. Now of course at this point here I don't have this piece of wood as a reference anymore because I've cut it out. So you're then starting to rely on your eye to see, is it flat across there? And make sure you're not dipping down or something like that. Right, 22, okay. So now let's cut this across the top here to the right shape. Now that's not down properly, but I don't have to worry too much about that. At this stage I can come back and do it again afterwards. I just need to know that this is below the level at which I'm going to cut this down to. That way I can still see where all the edges are. Oh dear. No, I'm not really ignoring chat. I'm just concentrating on what I'm doing, so I don't look at chat very frequently. Because there's not a lot of people saying anything. But what makes you not sure about the tablet? I mean, if you're not sure, it's a good thing to wait and see and make sure you are, because you know it's a fair bit of cash to spend, and if you're not going to be happy with it because you're not sure, then you know it's you don't want to be regretting spending that amount of money. Quality. Do you think the quality won't be as good as you're expecting? Kind of obviously if you get the opportunity to actually see one for yourself physically and put your hands on it, that way you'll have a better idea. So unfortunately I can't advise. I know nothing about the Huion tablets themselves. I know, as I mentioned, when I got mine, quality was one of the things that I was concerned about, and because I had other graphics tablets in the past which didn't work very well, either with the software or just worked very well, and that's why I sort of determined when I bought mine that I was actually going to get, if you like, the de facto standard one, or the market leader, because I kind of knew it would work. But as to whether or not I overpaid because of that, I don't know. But I'm happy with what I got, and what I got I think was worth the money I paid for it. So. So, Wolfie's got too many windows open again.
I'll be everything you want. I'll be everything you need. I'll be everything, everything. I'll be everything, everything for you.
Okay, I don't need to worry about that at this moment in time. I have a dip there which I will need to carve out, but again, so I don't need to worry about it just now. Ooh, it's warm. And I've got a stiff neck. I think tomorrow night I actually will do something different when carving, give my neck a chance to recover. Kind of like the ideal thing, I guess, for carving something like this would be, and it may be something I'll have to make eventually. It's like an easel, which is at maybe 45 degrees, and effectively has something like a lazy Susan, shall we say, which will allow you to spin it, but you can clamp so it doesn't move. Now I guess I can't this. With this vice I can't actually tip it towards me, which would satisfy that sort of requirement, because the metal hole that's off the bottom will actually only tip so far towards me. Let's see how far it will actually go, because it will come in contact with the desk. Yeah, that's it. As far as it'll come towards me, without me sort of coming all the way up here like this. And then that's way off the desk, and it's way away from the support, the desk support here. And I would not like to be carving at that sort of thing. So maybe I say the type of vice that's like a ball vice with this on top of it I probably could get it like 45 degrees, or at least I can always bolt that to something, and that would be the better thing. Then maybe I can either then raise the desk or sit down, but I can perhaps work with the chisels at sort of this sort of level where you might paint, for example. You haven't got as much control as you have down here, but at least I also wouldn't have a stiff neck like I've got now. So we've nearly reached the end of the stream. What I ought to have done at this point was to have done something like that. Because I'm carving sort of backwards now, I'm carving down to that level rather than up from that level. Well, it's going to be quite challenging to maintain that level actually. That's going up. But, okay. So the way we'll do that is like we do all the other work, and that is carefully. Take it slightly cautiously, and then we can always carve more. Carving too much is not an option. To paraphrase, I think it was Gene Kranz, I think. Apollo 13. Failure is not an option. Now that can be a problem if you're not seeing straight. If you have to look at a really perfect angle to see things, then it will start to cause you a problem. Because you then sort of have to sit extremely rigidly in a particular place in front of you, and you can't sort of tip it or anything, or tilt it, or it even becomes hard if you're working sort of on your knee. I don't actually know what mine is here. It's probably only a 1980 by 1080, I think, off the top of my head. But it's the other thing, I guess. Yes, your colour, as you mentioned there, is kind of colour rendering is kind of important. If you're gonna lose the colours if you're slightly off at an angle, then that if you're sort of painting with it, then that would become a severe problem. I was just thinking then that I'll finish this, but actually I probably won't. I don't think I will. It is 9 o'clock now, and if I try and finish this, I will rush it, and if I rush it, then the chances of doing something not very good are greatly enhanced, and there's no point. This isn't a race, and I don't have a deadline for carving this, so I don't need to do things like that. So what I'm going to do is stop it at that point. That comes up a little bit, and then it's close, but it comes up a little bit there and across the top, and then this side will have to do some. So I'm gonna give my neck a rest, clean up, get a drink, have a few biscuits, and then have a rest for a little while before I go to bed. Yeah, no, I can understand that, but it's kind of, you've kind of identified, if you like, why it's cheaper. They're using a different panel to those which are more expensive, and you can see why the more expensive ones are using what might be a more expensive panel. And yes, it's a big change. The question really becomes, it's a bit like with the RPG Maker, is that difference worth it to you? You are going to you're going to spend an extra €1,000. Is the extra €1,000 worth it? And don't forget as well, you're not just going to use it as a drawing tablet. You will use it as a general purpose computer. That's what that one's doing there. This one. It's at the moment it's got the chat and it's got actually it's got your picture on it. Normally it has one of the dashboards on it where I can see what's going on, and I use that as a portable computer as well. I don't have a lot of stuff on it because I don't like to clutter. I don't like cluttering it up, but it's got a browser on it. I can watch videos. I can take it out to do painting outside because it's got the painting software on it, and what have you. So it's a sort of a semi-general purpose computer and of a decent size. And is it worth it to you? If it's worth it to you, then it is worth saving up for it, and you'll be more pleased about it afterwards than you would have done if you'd have bought the cheaper one and gone, I really don't like this, I'm not going to use it, because then you'll have wasted that amount of money and potentially you still have to pay the $1,400. So the 27-inch one. 27 inch. Does it make a 27-inch portable? Or just, they make a 27-inch screen, that's for sure. If you're talking about portable, then remember you've got to carry it and hold it while you're doing things. Whether if you're talking about a 27-inch screen, yeah, then go for it if you like it. I mean, that's this is going to be upside down because I can't be bothered turning this camera. Actually, I'm going to have to turn the camera. So we go that way. No. That one, sorry, but that one that's there, that I think is a 26 inch. The Wacom, the largest Wacom ones are really nice though because they've got a thin bezel on them. They're a lovely looking model. Wish they'd give me one for free, but they won't because I'm not a well-known artist. Now then, because I've moved this camera, I now have to adjust everything. To see about some different lighting maybe in the future. Not portable, just sitting. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's, if it's not possible and you can afford it, the bigger screens are really nice, and they're really nice to draw on. Because of that size, I mean, you're talking almost A3 paper, life size, and it's an amazing. I mean, I've got in addition to the two screens that I can draw on, I do have also got a Wacom tablet non-screen thing, and you can get really used to using those. But the difference when you take a pen, one of these things, tell the graphics program it's a pencil and start drawing like you would with a pencil on screen is it's a completely different feeling. You're a designer. Yeah, of course you are, and that's not sarcastic. Of course you are. You showed me some stuff you were doing earlier, but yeah, they are worth it for that sort of thing. I mean, it's daft as it sounds, some of the things like the CAD programs though don't work fantastically well with the pens. They're kind of set up for mice, for a mouse rather than a pen, so you don't. It doesn't always control so well with the pen. Graphics programs, painting programs, fantastic. Otherwise, I mean, I did spend some time using using the pen with things like Excel and stuff like that, Word, it's great for working with word markup and stuff like that. You know, you can scribble and highlight and enter and type in whatever, which is really good. But the CAD programs don't like so much the pens. It's a bit awkward trying to use them, which kind of doesn't really make sense. As a designer, one of the other things, if you're doing 3D work, which is a useful thing to look out for, by the way, is have a look at a 3D mouse. Especially, well, it does work with things like Space Mouse. Space Mouse? Yeah, Space Mouse. 3D connections with an X. Connections. And the Space Mice. If you're doing a lot of design like with SketchUp or stuff like that, it's a 6-axis mouse, so you can push it forward and back, left and right, you can turn it, you can tilt it in both forward and back, left and right. So literally, if you think of that as your object, you can spin your object in 3 dimensions using just the one mouse without having to sort of remember control, alts and mouse movements. You have already a gamepad that does that. Yeah, but it's kind of... Oh, you mean like, yeah, you can move it just by moving the gamepad around. And also, yeah. This is just sits on the desk and, you know, you put your hand on it and you've got control like that. You don't actually have to hold anything. But yeah, no. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. I'm just saying from experience, you can use joysticks, you can use other things. There's a bit of a difference when you come to using them, but you know, they're not cheap. Yeah, you can do. It's. I just thought I'd mention it. It's kind of, shall we say, a recommendation from me that they are good. If you have another way of doing it, that's fine. Yeah, I don't actually use a mouse myself. I use a trackball. One of the reasons for it is, of course, using a mouse, and I would use a mouse a lot. My wrist is twisted effectively, and I used to get wrist ache from it. I've even tried what they call vertical mice, where you hold the mouse like this, but then the side of my hand gets sore rubbing on the desk or the pressure. So I've actually ended up with tracker balls, because I don't actually have to move my wrist. I can just move the ball with my fingers, and so I don't actually use a mouse. That is a bit awkward in certain games, because they're not really designed for an upside down mouse, because you have to spin it, but I just don't play those games. Yeah. The thing is, ultimately, if you're doing a lot of work, you look at, ultimately what you start to look at is, does whatever the tool is save you time in doing the work? If it does, is the time it saves worth the money it costs? If it's not, then you don't use it. Simple as that. As you've just discovered, if you like, sometimes cheap isn't always best. Anyway, I am going to give up for tonight. The next time I'm carving, we're going to finish carving this frame down to this sort of level here. As you can see now, the surface here is proud of that frame. It's above it. So when we do the Gibberer, and the highest point is probably there on his lips or just about his nose, this will be above the frame. It will look like he is coming out of the frame. Effectively is, and therefore I think that will be an interesting effect. We do have to carve the background down below the frame, but the only thing I'm now starting to think about is whether and how deep these screws are that are in it. They should only be in about 1/4 of an inch. and so they shouldn't be proud of this. The background level here, they shouldn't come up through this level to here. And I don't. And so far we haven't carved the background below this level, so I should be okay. But it's something that's at the back of my mind. At some point, what I might do is make a bench hook, and then we take this off of this this vise and use a bench hook for carving. But at this moment in time, I don't happen to. I'd have to go out and buy some wood, and I'm doing my best at the moment not to spend any money whatsoever. So I don't want to go out and buy any at the moment, but we might end up having to do something like that. So now, whether or not I'll be carving tomorrow night, I don't know. As I mentioned, because I'm always looking down like this, it's giving me neck ache. What I might do is give my neck a rest tomorrow, or maybe the day after, and perhaps do the diamond dots, or the magic dots, for a couple of nights, where I can sort of stand or sit with it up here at an angle, and I can keep my neck up and give it a chance to have a rest before we do some more on this. Because there's no point in doing something like this if I'm not enjoying doing it, or it's painful to do. It's kind of counterproductive overall, because it means I just don't want to do it, or don't take as much care as I should. But hopefully it's going quite well. I do enjoy that shape. That's nice. That's beginning to look quite well. There is a design to do on this, but we've got this to sort of flatten down. But we'll probably end up carving the Gibberer, I think, before we do this area here. So, anybody who's watching, if you want to catch the next stream, it should be tomorrow night, from approximately 7 PM British time, that's UK time. We're on GMT at the moment, which is the same as UTC, if you're more familiar with that. And as I say, it should start from 7 PM. That's subject to me being able to eat my evening meal in time, but I'll start as soon after that as I can, where we will do maybe the carving, but more likely something else. If you want to be more certain, keep an eye out on Twitter at Argonaut, because I will be probably tweet a little bit closer to the time what it is I intend to do for the evening. We'll see how my neck is tomorrow. And what else I was going to say? Yeah, if you can of course follow me here on Twitch. You won't get any notifications of what I'm doing, but you'll get the notification when I go live, so you can always drop in and see what it is. If you like it, stay and watch and chat. If you don't like it, well, I'm sure you'll move on and come back later. If you'd like to support the channel, then there's two ways of doing that, both up at the top right. Well, there's three ways actually. The follow supports the channel, and saying hello in chat is fantastic. But there's also more direct support, which is the bits and the subscriptions, both of which go towards buying things like wood, tools, cameras, the usual sort of thing that streamers buy for their stream. So, I also wish you a very good night, Wolfer, and anybody else who's watching. Hope to see you on the next stream. Bye for now.
shutting us out. Like you never act like this before. Turning around, I don't wanna lose you anymore. Falling down, no one's gonna save you from your storms. Let it go, you lose this battle. You can't stop me now. You can't stop me now. You can't stop me now. You can't stop me. You can't stop me now. You can't stop me. Me. You can't stop me now. You can't stop me. Me. You can't stop me. Open your eyes. Step by step, you walking through the door. Turn off the light. You're all out of moves on the dance floor. Just give up. You know it's time for you to go. 'Cause you lost this battle. Can't stop me now. Can't stop me. Can't stop me. You can't stop me now. Me. You can't stop me. You can't stop me.
Through the ocean breeze, through the falling leaves, a fly, a fly.